Alright folks, welcome back to the show. Today's episode, I thought I'd do a little something different. Yesterday we had a local toy and comic show come by town. The Vancouver Comic and Toy show, which hosts about 400 tables of comic books, video games, toys. They also had VHS tapes and other movies as well. So there was a bunch of things this year. So of course I did, like I do every year. I attended and I bought some goodies, and I thought it'd be interesting to show off some of those goodies for you folks, the majority of which are toys. So but I did buy some comics, and as a kid I used to buy a lot of the G.I. Joe comics, being a big G.I. Joe fan. I did purchase the set as a kid from issues 51 to about 104, and I had some gaps in there. One last gap that I had was issue 55, the Unmaskings issue, and just for the camera here, I'll just center it. So this was something that I was missing in my collection, so kind of happy here to finish that off. And it's one of the more famous issues of the Marvel run, so I want to have a read through of that because it's going to fill in some gaps. Want to know what happened, so that I completed. And then as I continue to try and see if I can finish off the entire set, also bought another issue. This is number 109, and I think this is the issue where some of the Joes are killed off. I have 110. I haven't read it yet because I want to collect the issues that I don't have leading up to 110. The goal is basically at some point to get the entire 155 issue collection. I did purchase the compendium, issue 1, which has issues 1 through 50 in them, and I'm going through that right now. I intend to have a review of that in the future, but for yesterday, these are the two issues that I purchased. Now, the next buy was a bit of a surprise for me, and the reason being is that I'm not much of a Turtles fan. However, I saw these two fellows, and it was a combo deal. I got them very, very, very cheap. Of course, they're missing everything, and they are two of the original Turtles. So Leonardo and Donatello. As you can see, it's missing the majority of its things. I mean, it doesn't even have the belt. Doesn't have any of the weapons or anything like that. But it was such a good deal. I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna pick it up. I do have a Ninja Turtle. I do have Michelangelo. So these two will add to the collection. Never had any Turtles as a kid. Didn't have much interest in them as a kid. Did watch the cartoons, but never really did watch the or never did collect the Turtles. Didn't have many friends that collected Turtles. Maybe that's a reason why, but wasn't a big fan of theirs. And didn't like the colors. I didn't like the fantasy aspect of the cartoon or of the comic book. I tended to be more focused on the more real life, if you will, toys, stuff that sort of look like things that you see out and about, or things that you see on TV. And for that reason, I was much more of a G.I. Joe fan than I was a Turtles fan. Some other toys that I purchased, I got these three toys here for all in one lot, and just bring out the last one. And as you can see there, you have two GoBots here. You have one Transformer, and these are three that I had as a child. For me, buying 80s toys, it has to bring back that nostalgia. It has to bring back some memories, and or else I don't tend to buy the toy. It's all about the nostalgia feel for me. And these are three that I always remember I had. I didn't play with them a lot, but I remember it always being in the toy box that I had in the closet as a child. So I did purchase these three. Had a little fun yesterday trying to figure out how to transform them. So the ones that I did buy, obviously, the GoBot Leader 1, and you can see it does have a missing back wing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but on this side, but you know, it's okay. I don't mind doing that. I ended up getting it really for free with the purchase of the other two vehicles here. So I did purchase this, and then and again, it just brings back memories of when I was a kid. You know, the thing about GoBots is they're just so really simple to transform. They're not as difficult as the Transformers were in the day, and it's really one or two steps. And as you can see, pretty much, you know, you have your transformation. So that's Leader 1. And then I had these two cycles, and I guess as a kid I was a big motorcycle fan, and so I did have both of these as a kid. Obviously this is a Transformer, and this is a this is a GoBot, Night Ranger, and I forget this fellow's name. I did look that up yesterday, but I forgot his name, but he was part of a combiner set. Now, you know, if you know the reputation of both of these transforming toys, if you will, Transformers was much more famous. But when I transformed these Transformers, I was really quite surprised how the GoBot was much more articulated, much more complex, as complex as you can get for a toy, as compared to the Transformer. So let's see if I can sort of recall how it is that I transformed this. So this is the Transformer. I forgot his name now. I know it starts with an S, but let's see here. It's very, very simplistic. It doesn't look right when it's in robot form. And again, just knowing the difference in price when we were kids of these two, and seeing basically that the GoBot is much more interesting transformed into a robot than the Transformer. Is a bit of a surprise looking at it, but there you go. There you have it. That's the Transformer. I don't know if that still works. Probably doesn't at this point. Oh yeah, it does a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. You can just make it out somewhat. Let's see here, I got a little bit of a shadow with the light, so it does seem to work. So there's that fellow there. Can't even really stand up all that well. And then when you do, you know, Night Ranger here from the GoBots, it's a much more interesting transformation process. Let's see if I can do it without breaking him. And obviously he's missing his weaponry, and there's a bit of a broken piece on one of the arms, but that's all right. You know, these things certainly weren't perfect when I was a kid, and you know, there was usually some battle scars from epic battles that we would have with these things as children, so it's all right. And that's I think I've transformed him, so you can tell he's a much more interesting character when he's transformed into robot form. So that was really a surprise to me, just how really nice this is. And again, this is a GoBot. There was a huge difference in price for these two toys as a kid, and I know with these smaller Transformers they were cheaper than the larger Transformers, but nevertheless it was still a bit of a surprise just transforming them and seeing that the GoBot version of the motorcycle was certainly a lot more interesting than the Transformers one. So, you know, there you have it. The other thing as well that I am currently collecting is the Walmart exclusives of the WWE superstars, and I'm not collecting them all. However, I am collecting a few of them, especially some of those wrestlers that appeared in the cartoon when I was a child of Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. So I do have Hulk Hogan. I did order him on eBay, so he's on his way. And I do have Roddy Piper. I have quite a few to go. But I also wanted to collect some of my favorite wrestlers during the Attitude Era. That was really when I got back into wrestling for a few years there, and I think a lot of us did, because it was really a popular time for the WWE. And Mankind, Mick Foley, was certainly one of my favorites, continues to be today. So him and Austin, two guys that I intend on purchasing. I'm not sure if they have an Austin one yet. I do have the NWO, Hogan and Nash and Hall. So I don't have. I hope that they come out with the DX figures as well, because I certainly would purchase it. But certainly Mankind was one of my favorites at the time, and he's just a fantastic figure. So he definitely is somebody that I wanted. And if you live up here in Canada, you just know how almost impossible it is to get these figures up here. I think they only had Series 1, and a lot of them continue to warm up the shelves at the stores. But after that, I have never seen, and I do look on occasion to see if I can find some more, but they're just not around. When I saw this fellow at the show, and they got this guy from Fuse Toys, really good company. It seems like they're family run, really nice people. And the fellow that I dealt with, and I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was absolutely also a huge wrestling fan. He was very helpful, and also perhaps in the future work a little something with him to see if I can get the other missing figures, because it was a heck of a lot cheaper getting it at the toy show than ordering these things off of eBay, because of the shipping costs and the crazy prices that people want. So very happy to find one of these. I wasn't expecting to see one of these at the toy show, so certainly not the one that I wanted. So that was a fantastic find. So let's put Mick Foley here on the side. And of course, being a G.I. Joe fan, I started a few years ago of reacquiring my collection, and then I've gone well beyond that. I've decided for now to stick between the G.I. Joes and Cobra figures that were released from 83 to 86. I don't know how long that's going to last, because I'm almost finished that set, but I did have a few more left to go. And I did find them, a few of the ones that I needed at the toy show yesterday. The first one being Buzzer. Buzzer is just fantastic, and this one was such in great condition. Has all the accessories, but if you take a look at the figure itself and the color, I mean, this figure was released in 1985, and it looks brand new. The gentleman had incredible G.I. Joe figures, and had some more of the more rare ones, like Baroness and Duke. I think he had a Storm Shadow as well. Well, not a Storm Shadow, a Snake Eyes, and they were all in fantastic condition. Paid a little bit more for him, but considering his color, I mean, if you take a look at his chest area, you can really see that the metal is really quite well. The paint's not rubbed off. His tattoo on his left arm still in great shape. It hasn't rubbed off, and a lot of that with these 40-year-old toys, they tend to rub off. Look at his skull and crossbones there on his belt. Looks fantastic. I mean, really, really good shape. I mean, I was just really surprised by his hair and just how yellow it still is. And it was a really, really good toy. I did pay, I think, fair market value, maybe even a little bit above, but it was such a fantastic toy. And it's the one figure that I do need. I've almost completed the entire Dreadnought collection, at least the ones that I wanted. and this one was just really too good to give up, especially being the last one that I needed to complete the Dreadnought collection. So this is Buzzer, and fantastic find, and I was very happy. But I also picked up a few more of the Joes that I needed. The next two Joes, I ended up buying them from Toy Lords, and Toy Lords is a fantastic shop. I've bought a lot of figures from them. I bought my what I consider to be my grail of toy collecting, which was the Killer Whale, and I'll show that video sometime in the future. But just an absolute great place to buy vintage toys, and they were at the show as well. And this is the lamprey, the hydrofoil driver, and pretty good condition as well. Great price for him and his partner here that we went to show. Again, it was another missing figure that I had from the set that I want to collect, and it was too good to pass up. Fantastic figure. Never had him as a kid. Didn't know anybody that had him as a kid, but this weapon is fantastic with the clip going into the side, not underneath the gun. So it's really nice. Good paint on it. Very happy with this figure. It will go into the rest of the Cobra clan that I already have assembled, which again, I'll show that in the future. And finally, a G.I. Joe that I absolutely detested as a child. Came out in 1986. I had a friend that had it, and I just hated it. I hated everything about it. It really stopped me from collecting a lot of Joes in the future. I didn't like where the G.I. Joe was heading in 1986. It was leaving its military theme and going more into the sci-fi theme, and probably gave it away what I'm about to show next, though, just saying that. But I didn't really like this figure. This to me was the absolute the earmark of where G.I. Joe took a wrong turn. Now I understood that Cobra had a little bit more fantasy in their characters, and considering the background and the history of Cobra, it made sense that they went more into the sci-fi area. But G.I. Joe was military, and now that the Joes had their first, well, I wouldn't say their first, but really out there sci-fi. I mean, here he is, sci-fi, who really goes into battle wearing neon green, this bright. You'd be the first one to get shot. But I didn't, like I said, I just hated this fellow. And when I first started collecting, and I was collecting 83 to 86 G.I. Joe figures, and this fellow came out in 86, this was a guy that I was not going to get, and I said I was never going to get, but I did, and I did too, because I'm a completist, and I want to finish off what I set out to do. But when I did get them yesterday, and I had a good look at them, and I sort of played around with them and took a look. It kind of looks like RoboCop right now as I'm looking at him. I just think he's not as bad as I remember him being. He is obviously he's sci-fi, but he's also very sci-fi compared to the other Joes. But then when I looked at other Joes that were bright, like Barbecue, and what are some of the other Joes? Some of the other Joes that were bright, even going back to Zap and Short Fuse and Grand Slam, they were a little bit different. But this guy with the lime green was sort of way off. Airtight with his yellow uniform, but I didn't seem to mind those guys. But this fellow, wasn't a fan. But yeah, now as an adult, looking at this, it's not that bad. There's certainly a lot worse. So I'm glad I purchased them, and I got them from Toy Lords again. Great shop, great people. So absolute fantastic. Now, yesterday I also ended up purchasing a modern toy, and something that I usually don't do. I don't think I have done. I mean, yes, the Superstars, it's a modern toy, but it's of wrestlers of yesteryear. It's something that I can, that reminds me of other times, more
I wouldn't say more innocent times because mankind wrestled in the late 90s, but certainly of yesteryear and old times and that kind of stuff. And for me, it's all of this is just about the nostalgia and the good memories that it brings back of being a kid, being a young adult, of the friends that you had at the time that you shared these interests with, of family members that you might have played some of these toys with, and that's what it's all about. But I did break that nostalgia rule and bought something that was completely new, and this is a Delta 17 figure. And this particular figure was being sold by Ken of Toy Connections. And I've met him a few times at these toy shows, and of course, anybody in the toy world on YouTube knows of Ken. Got to talking to him about this, and even before I knew that he had, I think he's a shareholder in the company that produces these. I was a fan of them. I was a fan of them because they look like the old school GI Joes. I mean, right down from the waist to the that crotch piece that always breaks off on the GI Joes, down to the O-rings. I mean, they were really, I think, one of the first to do it, and this is really one of their figures that really stood out to me. The name is Death Sparrow, I think. And I don't know anything about storyline here in Delta 17. Maybe there's some cartoons out there that I can watch, or some episodes of some shows that were created, but I really like this figure. Reminds me a lot of the GI Joe, the alternates, the Russian alternates of the October Guard, and I think this is somebody that would certainly fit in with the rest of the crew of the October Guard, and they're just a real absolute wonderful figure. Take a look at the paint job and the face, and it's just really well done. Comes with a stand, and the weapon itself, and I'm sure that there's some sort of name for what that weapon is. I'm going to call it a Tommy gun because that's what it reminds me of, those old gangster movies from the 50s or the 60s, and it looks like a Tommy gun to me. That's what I'm going to call it. But as you can see, they're right up to scale with the GI Joe, so they fit right in. I think any GI Joe collector, buying Delta 17 figures probably will go great in your collection. I tend to put my GI Joes in dioramas, so somebody like this will fit great in my diorama, and it's such a really great character. It has all the points of articulation as the GI Joe would have of 1986 and 1985, when they started having that ball joint in the neck, but as well it has the wrists as well that turn in and out, so it has a one more articulation than the original Joes do. So it's a great buy, and I'm definitely going to look into buying some more of these. Big shout out to Ken, by the way. The times that I've gone to his tables at shows, always takes time out to just talk to you and answer questions about not only about the Delta 17 but all the other figures that he has out. I mean, he's really passionate about the stuff that he sells. A very approachable fellow, and willing to answer all your questions that you have. So great toy. Really like this. I mean, and the fact that there's a guy in here whose name is Rooster, which is a nickname that I had back in high school, and that's where Royal Rooster comes from. The Royal is short for a royalty nickname that I had in university, but Rooster was the first nickname I had in high school. So yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get that fill at some point because his name is Rooster. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a fantastic piece. But the one that really hit the nostalgia vibe, the one that I absolutely loved, was this diecast car of the Dukes of Hazzard, and it was in pretty good shape considering how old this toy is. The Dukes of Hazzard was a TV show back in the early 80s. I think it was the late 70s, but I got into it, of course, in the early 80s. My favorite TV show. Absolutely love it. And I had this toy probably in the very early 80s, so I'm thinking 82, 83. maybe even before that. And boy, it brought back so many good memories. And as a kid, I had a few cousins. We would always get together and we'd play. One of the role-playing games that we play would be the Duke Boys. That's what we called them. We called them the Duke Boys, and we would play the Duke Boys. And so every time we got together, we would play the Duke Boys and run around the neighborhood pretending that we were the Duke Boys and the rest of the family. Um, and my uncle used to have a 1980s car, an old Maverick. Well, back then it wasn't old; it was a pretty brand new car that he had just purchased. It was a Maverick, and obviously, the General Lee is a Challenger, but he had a Maverick, but it was orange. So for us kids, him and his oldest son, that was the General Lee because it was orange. So we decided to pretend that it was indeed the General Lee, and we would jump in and out through the windows. We'd roll down the windows, and we would jump in and out, in and out. Well, it got to a point where we did it so many times that we started to destroy the rubber, that goes around the window, and actually started to pull it out of the car. And it was a fairly new car, and my uncle just said, "No, that's enough, kids. You're gonna stop that. You're gonna stop that now because you're destroying my new car." So we ended up stopping it, but stuff like this just brings back those great memories that were long lost, and main reason why I collected. So that was the collection, and those are the things that I picked up at the show yesterday, and hopefully in the future I can share a lot more of my collection. I didn't intend this to be the first Saturday nostalgia video that I was going to make, but I thought, you know what, I have everything out. Why not show it now? So that's all for me today, folks. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more stuff like this, then hit that subscribe button, because you'll have, or I intend to be putting shows out there, especially on Saturdays, that are more nostalgia driven. It's about the toys, and it's about the comics, it's about the video games of the past. So hit that subscribe button if that's something that you're interested in. So there you have it, folks. Until next time, thanks for watching.